In today's episode, we're kicking into high gear because today we're doing clutch stuff. You see what I did? Oh, come on, come back! I was only joking. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So, excuse the change in scenery first of all. My circuits blew in the garage, so I don't have much light in there, so I had to move inside the house. This is a correction. Let's try not to make too many of these, huh? So during one of my last videos, I showed you guys how to install the power steering pump onto the car for the engine. I got a couple of things wrong here, and I just wanted to point those out real quick so that way you guys don't make those same mistakes. First of all, on the bracket here, you can see that there are actually like recesses for the screws to go into. I was holding it backwards, so do make sure that you screw it in the right way. It'll be a lot more obvious if you know you're looking for it. This actually explains a lot. I was really having a hard time getting those screws to fit into the bracket, but knowing that these are here, and I should have looked a little bit more closely at it, that explains kind of the problem that we had there. Secondly, I had the washers incorrectly placed. I was putting them in between the pulley and the other pulley on the pump itself. The washers go where washers always go, which is inside, right between the body of what they're screwing down to and the top of the head of the screw or the bolt. So that's it. Two minor issues. All right, so to get started with the installation of the clutch, we have a couple of things that we need to sort of lay out and make sure that you have. First of all is this crank impulse rotor. It looks like this. It's got two sides there. This is super important. If you don't install this, you will have to take the engine out again and do it and completely redo it. So make sure you have one of these. Secondly is a tube of Loctite thread locker, the blue 242 stuff. This is what everybody sort of recommends. I ordered this itty bitty tube off of Amazon, so maybe find one at your local parts store that has more than this little bit. Everything we're going to be doing today on the back side or on the clutch is going to involve putting this thread locker on it, so make sure you have that. A couple other things of note. The stock engine came with a couple of these little friction discs. You don't need to use these anymore. Especially in my case, I'm not planning on turbocharging the engine, so these are useful. That means you can go ahead and throw them in the trash can. The other thing is this big old flex plate. This is part of the clutch assembly if you were running an automatic Jetta, I guess. We don't need this anymore because we're replacing with a flywheel. So you don't need either of those two things. Lastly, the spec kit, the spec flywheel clutch system comes with bolts that look like this. You can see they're hexagonal on the top. The kit actually comes with 6 bolts that are more meaty, and they've got these Allen key head bolts in there, and those are what we're going to be using to attach the flywheel to the crank. All right, let's get started. Method for assembly is pretty straightforward. The crank impulse rotor goes over top of the crankshaft and the rear main seal. You can see there's actually holes that help you line it up. So it actually slides right into place, and you can't actually rotate it, so it's locked into place. Very, very easy. Next, we take the flywheel. And we install it over top. There is a very specific way that you have to install this. These holes aren't completely symmetrical, so just keep that in mind. That, once again, helps make sure that you have it lined up the proper way. You should see the holes line up. And then very lastly is this pilot bearing adapter, which is what's going to be used to connect more stuff to the engine. Once again, it looks like it only goes in one way. And there is a specific way where all of them line up. So now that we have that all in place, we're going to take our bolts and our Loctite and just apply a generous helping onto each one of them. Screw in the bolts all the way down, and then we're torquing them at 60 foot-pounds of torque, as per Boost Brothers Garage. All right, so Put it in, smear it around. Hand thread it. Tighten it down, and then we'll torque them all down in just a second. Pretty much rinse and repeat. I always do a star pattern anytime there's something like this that we're doing, so I would encourage you to do the same. And then, like I said, tighten down to 60 foot-pounds. I love that sound. So the next step will be installing the actual friction disc in the clutch itself, I suppose. I've never actually done any of this in person as usual, but I have seen a lot of clutch installs on YouTube. So there is this clutch alignment tool that comes with the spec clutch. So we're going to go ahead and grab that. So these are the two remaining pieces of the kit of the clutch. There's the friction disc. I'm wearing gloves because I don't want anything to get on that. You don't want any lubricant or anything. And then the I forget what this is called, but it's the pressure plate that releases the clutch when you push in the pedal. So, all right, so I put that in a little bit too early. We're going to start by putting in the friction disc. You can see that it's marked forward side, so that's going to be towards the front of the engine. So we'll just pop that in. I don't necessarily know if I'm supposed to be doing this a certain way, but I think that that's what the alignment disc is for. And then secondly will be the cover. This is beautiful, this blue, but it's one of those things you'll never actually see. So spec, probably at the top or the bottom. And you can see there's actual, once again, actual posts sort of lined up where these are supposed to go. So I think we're just going to keep rotating it around until everything lines up. Oh yeah, that feels better. Got it, okay. So when you install this cover, there's actually these little posts here that it fits perfectly. One at like the 4 o'clock position, one at noon, and one at like 8 o'clock. So, and you'll see that all of the stuff will line up as well. So with that in place, it means that my my clutch is going to be aligned, my friction disc is going to be aligned to the flywheel, and then we just install the bolts. There's 6 of them. They look like this. I had to pull them off of the, I should really remember what this thing is, the something. These are size 6 Allen wrenches, and not really any torque specs on this. We're just gonna put them in tight, and we're gonna add Loctite onto them as well, like we did like we're doing everything else. So, onward. All right, back to the workbench. The next thing that we're going to do is install the Solstice throwout bearing. So to orient this, again, you're not going to be able to screw it up just because of the way everything is oriented. There are 2 itty bitty bolts that come with the kit. They look like this, and they go in the 2 holes here and there. You can also see there's a cutout slot. I don't know how well you can see that. No, that's heavy. There's a hole right there. This other hole lines up with it, so very straightforward. Once again, we're going to Loctite the bolts. These are 5mm Allen keys, or Allen key bolts. And fortunately, the big, long Allen key that came with the kit is very, very helpful for this. So we're just going to pop that in. There we go, just like that. On to the next thing. All right, so now it's time to install the bell housing. So I'm just gonna set it over here. And once again, there's these little alignment areas on the right and the left that will get you into place, as well as the bolt holes. Now, my bell housing is wobbling a little bit because it's sitting on top of these guideposts. So if you do run into that, you just have to knock it into place. There we go, and no more wobble. Alrighty, so to attach the bell housing after you get it all hammered in, there are 4 of these thick bolts, 3 of these smaller bolts, that'll be perimeter ones, and then there's 1 more bolt that we'll get to in just a second. Alright, so to install the bolts around the side of the sides of the bell housing, it goes big bolt here, big bolt here, big bolt here, big bolt here. And then the 3 small ones go small bolt here, 1 inside of the bell housing where the starter hooks up to, another small one over here on the right, and then there is 1 last bolt that's long and blue, and then it comes with its own little nut at the end here. Now, as far as torque specs go, I don't have anything in specific, but what I was told is let your impact wrench go all the way down, and then just don't let it continue to like da 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 or hammer on the bolts themselves. So that's what I'm going to do. And of course, say it with me, everyone, Loctite all these nuts. So we'll be doing that as well. So while we're in this part of the engine, what we're going to do next is install the coolant adapter. You'll need a couple of parts for this. First of all, you'll need to reuse the hardware that came with the engine. It's a couple of weird screws that don't look like they should be screwed into an engine. They are also M30 star style. You'll have a couple of bolts that come with the adapter kit. I would encourage you to get a new thermostat. It comes with a couple of gaskets that you'll need. And in my case, you can see I've drilled 2 holes here. After talking with some of the other people who have done this swap, priming the engine's coolant as well as how it operates at temperature seems like it needs a little bit more coolant on the regular. So I've drilled 2 3mm holes into the thermostat itself. Thermostat comes with this O-ring here, as well as a second one that you'll wrap around the adapter. That O-ring goes in place there. The thermostat has this little valve thing at the top. Spring goes inside, like that. The adapter goes with this side in. Comes with the thermostat goes. Line up the holes. Press it in. Yeah, that all snaps together super nice. Don't you just love it when things fit together like they're supposed to? Insert the screw at the bottom, at the top, tighten them down. Now keep in mind that this is all plastic and aluminum, so don't tighten too hard. You know, just enough to make sure that it won't turn anymore, but don't torque it all the way down, I don't think. That seems like a great idea if you want to break stuff. All right, another O-ring sits in here, and then you take the last 2, and these are Allen key 5, and it just sits there like that. I think this is the correct orientation, because I think the coolant hoses will come out the side here and connect directly to the reservoir. But hey, if I'm wrong, I just take it out and switch it around, so it's not a huge deal. All right, so just hand thread those, and then we'll tighten them down. One last thing. All right, back on the top of the engine, I just got a delivery from Boost Brothers Garage. So I was missing this little gasket thing here. So we're gonna add it on top of our breather box. So all you do is you just wrap it around the inside like that. Oop. It's a little finicky, so just do it very carefully. That took a little doing, but I've wrapped it around it and it looks like it's staying there okay. So I'm just gonna spread out my little wool, steel wool, and then slot this down over the top. And then we'll just take our screws that we had before and start screwing them in. And there we have it. That's the last thing that needs to go on the engine for now. So guys, I just really want to thank you for hanging out with me. I know that this has been a long journey, and 3 episodes is a lot of very excruciating detail to go through, but hopefully you all found this very, very helpful. The next step is to take this and put it in the car. I have a few things I need to finish up inside of the car itself before I do that. Like, I have a few things I need to finish up before I actually put it in the car, but they're all minor, and I can't believe we're actually here. It has been almost 2 years since I ordered the kit and was getting ready to swap it. So I'm really glad you guys could be here with me while I go through this. And next time you see me, we'll be putting this into that. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all next time.